Welcome back to the Witch's Way podcast. I'm Kat.
And I'm Jamie. And tonight we are doing Kat's story.
It's one of my stories. You guys, this is something that happened to me recently. And, and you know, it was, well, I'll just tell you. I won't bother prefacing it with anything. I'll just tell you 2 witches, 2 styles, 2 things in common. How about I start with that?
2 witches, 2 styles, 2 things in common.
Yeah, 2 witches, 2 different styles, and 2 things in common.
Okay.
So I went on a road trip with a witch friend, and I say witch friend because that's how we met. We met through a meetup when Jamie and I were doing the meetup years ago, and we've had some interactions in between then, like she's come to our house, we've done some things, and I've gone to her house, but we haven't spent like a lot of time together. It's been kind of like surface, I guess.
More group setting, not personal?
More group. Well, like I remember one time we had lunch together, and I think one of the things I remember about that lunch is not a lot to talk about. So let me back up a little bit and tell you that 6 months ago, a friend of mine who I know through our witch group and who is in our witch circle asked me to go on a trip. Now, you guys, I'm a homebody. I love my creature comforts. I'm happy in my house.
She's a 6.
I'm super content here. And I just don't have this like huge desire to, travel all over the state. That is my youngest daughter. She'll go on a road trip every single weekend. She loves events. And me, I'm just like, I like my home. It's not that I'm a recluse or, I'm socially awkward. It's just that I'm comfortable here. And people today are kind of jerks, and I was like, I don't, I'm good.
You don't like being out in the world?
Well, I mean, I think I did when I was drinking.
Alcohol does make people more tolerable sometimes.
Yeah, and now for probably the last year, close to 1.5 years now, I haven't drank. And so now when I go out and I'm not drinking, yeah, you're right. People are a little less tolerable, and the drinking always got the party going for me and stuff like that. So anyway, she asked me to go on a trip with her 6 months ago, and I turned her down. And as is my nature, I always feel bad when I feel like I disappoint somebody. So I was like, But the trip was to St. Augustine, and I just didn't want to go to St. Augustine. We had gone there
We've been there before, and it wasn't fun.
Yeah, we went on my birthday, like the first or second year that I was here, and it was okay, but it's not a town that I care to go back and visit. So that was a definite no, but I still kind of felt bad because I think she needed, like, her friend that was going to go with her bailed on her. Mm. And so I kind of felt bad, that I left her hanging. So when she asked me again about 2 months ago to go to Savannah with her the first weekend of March, I was like, Savannah? I don't know anything about Savannah. And, what I know about the South is they're racist and they're classist. And I was like, what am I going to have in common with them people? But I decided that I would step outside my comfort zone and take a trip. Right. So it was a 4-day trip. We left on a Thursday and came back on a Sunday. And, she and I were close to the same age, but we've had really different life experiences. Like, you guys know a little bit about mine. I mean,
I'd say more than a little now. I don't think anybody listening is surface level friends anymore. I think they know all the things about us.
Well, my life has been chaotic. And her life has been really stable. I mean, she went to college. She had a great career. She was very successful in her career. She's been married for a long time. So the 2 things that we have in common, basically the 2 things that we're alike, is that we have the same views on the current political environment, so we can bitch about that, which I didn't want to spend the trip doing. And I wanted to be very aware that we weren't just talking about politics, because that gets old and it's stressful. And what fun is that, right? And to just constantly gripe about politics. And then witchy stuff. And then, with witchy stuff, is like, you can talk so much about that, right? But anyway, so when I say 2 witches, 2 styles, what I mean by style is kind of more experiences, life experiences, and then the 2 things we have in common. So we take this road trip during Mercury retrograde, and neither one of us, it doesn't click in either one of us, our minds, that it's Mercury retrograde. It's Mercury retrograde started on February 28th, which was when Dum decided to bomb Iran. And
I was like,
a week
I was
later,
waiting for that. I was like, who? Oh, okay. I had no idea what you were going to
and
say.
so a week later, we take off on our happy little larky way on our way to Savannah, 6 hours away from where we live, with no inkling, no putting anything together. And I can't explain it. I just can't. And during this trip, okay, so chaos ensued, you guys. I mean, when I tell you that shit was fucked up almost from day one. We drove up on a Thursday. We got there. That was okay. I guess the first thing that happened when we left her house was her navigation wasn't working. So I use Waze on my phone. So I was like, it's a straight shot. We're going to go up 75 to 95. And it's like, it's straight there. So no problem. But listen, that wasn't the only thing. It wasn't just that the navigation didn't work. It was that we had tour mishaps. Wrong clothing, wrong shoes, no street signs, navigational and directional challenges. We lost a car. She lost a bag of stuff that she purchased at a witch store that she spent over $100 on. So, I mean,
She lost that?
she lost it.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah,
Oh,
she lost it.
Oh my gosh.
And
that sucks.
So the first thing I want to address is navigation because, well, actually, I want to back up a little bit. And I'm not harping on her. I just want to make this clear. If she's listening, or if anybody that knows her and knows our trip and is listening, this is not a gripe about her. This is actually more of what this trip revealed to me, about my style, about what I have to learn, about
the lens in which you view the world.
The ways in which I view the world, and it also exposed how I'm growing because, in a not too distant past, I would not have spent a lot of time reflecting, and I immediately, as soon as I was home, I was already asking myself the questions, but when I got home from this trip, I really started going like, was it me? What happened? Why did things feel so off? But the universe sent me signs too. I just want you to know, because like 2 days before the trip, she sends me a text message. She's like, the car's all gassed up and the tires are aired up and I'm ready to go and I'm excited. I'm like, me too, blah, blah, blah. I'll be there at 10 o'clock in the morning. And then the navigation was messed up. And so I feel like the universe she did everything. She researched the hotel. She made the
Wow. We were going to close the window.
Jamie
so
said
if you
no.
hear that irritating ass car, I'm so sorry. It is so nice out today. We left the windows open and some dumbass with their stupid, oh God. Okay, sorry.
She did all the work, right? She booked the hotel. She researched and found the hotels. She researched the tours.
The trip was put on by her.
The trip was basically put on by her. Yeah. And she did all the work. And so, I could have stepped up and said, I'll be the navigator. But, she had her GPS and then she had her phone and she seemed like she was super competent and maybe didn't want my help. So I didn't want to like barge in and be like, oh, let me take control of this.
Kat doesn't like to feel like she's stepping on people's toes either. It's another,
that's
sort of your thing where you're like, no, that's your, she will. If somebody asked her to, you'd be more than willing to, but
yeah, I try to be respectful of people's like their space and their thing that they have going on.
The way they do stuff. Yeah.
Even if maybe I would do it differently, but I do try to, not take over, because I can be, or have been in my life, somewhat domineering in certain situations. So I try to be aware of that and not do that kind of stuff.
And she's had to do that with us too, because whenever her and I are going to go anywhere, she already knows who's driving. I'm driving. I drive the car. Like, that's what I like to do. That's what I want to do. I don't care whose car we're taking, but I'm driving. So through the last 7 years and the small trips that we've taken, that's something that's come up too. So this being your guys' first trip together, I can see where you're really letting her lead and do all the things and you're kind of sitting back.
Yeah, it was almost like I was just along for the ride, but then there was a part of me, it's like, was that the right way to handle it? I don't know, but
Some of your reflections for yourself.
Some of my reflections for myself are like, what part of this was my responsibility in terms of taking some of the load off of her, right? What part was mine? But she seemed to like what she was doing. I mean, I would have helped with anything, but she took it. She had the bull by the horns and she just made all the stuff. And I'm like, okay. She conferred with me. She's like, hey, this is the hotel that I found. I was like, yeah, that sounds great. I mean, it was nice. The hotel was beautiful. Savannah was beautiful.
Did you meet a lot of racist people there?
I did not. I actually was shocked that everybody was so nice.
I knew that was going to happen. That's why I had to ask it in that way.
Really friendly. And it was a very mixed, the town was very mixed. There was a lot of, there's a college there. So we were in the historic district. That's where we stayed. If you guys know about it, it's pretty cool. There's a lot of old buildings. There's a lot of history there. Confederacy, slavery. But anyway,
it is the South.
I mean, yeah, it is.
But they have other things there too.
Yeah. I mean, because one of the first things we learned about was like the guy who settled the place, right? Yeah. It was the last of the 13 colonies that was settled. So initially there wasn't slavery when they first started it. But anyway, sorry for you Southerners, but I have a opinion about you guys, and I know you're not all like that. So I do apologize if I'm offending anybody who is from the South. I know that everybody's not racist.
We all have our histories.
But anyway, so let me just. Okay, morning number one. We had 3 tours, and she bought tickets for tours. For both of us, for tours 1 and 3, and tour 2 that was in the middle, she only bought 1 ticket for her, which was fine. I don't have a problem with, because she put up the money. So, okay, no problem. So the morning we were going to leave the hotel, it was cool out. I was dressed in like a bodysuit, a skirt, leotard or tights, boots, a hat. I'm dressed for cooler weather, thinking that we're going to come back, which we were never able to do because we got lost. And ran out of time.
You thought you were going to come back between tour 1 and 2?
Yeah. We had a tour. We had a tour at 10 and a tour at 2. And the tour at 2 was a walking tour. And I had tennis shoes. So that for the 2 walking tours that we were going to do, note to self: never take another walking tour in your life, especially a 2-hour one. I thought we would come back because there was time between the tours, and we wanted to see a couple of witchy shops, and we should have been able to make it back. But because of what happened once we got out and we got all turned around and all this stuff happened, we never made it back to the hotel. So for the walking tour in the afternoon, I'm walking around. My bodysuit is one of those ones that's like, control top, right? And so I'm like dying, and then I have tights that are control top on top of it. So I'm squeezed in like I'm wearing a corset. And so by 2:00 in the afternoon, I'm pretty miserable in my clothing, plus walking in boots that were not meant for walking.
Not good walking boots. I'm wearing good walking boots.
These boots
today
weren't made for walking.
Yeah.
So before we get ready to go that morning, I buy my ticket for the 2:00 tour, and I don't have the tour because I didn't book everything. I don't have which tour name, and I don't have stuff all like ingrained in my head yet. So we get to, first we stopped at breakfast, a really quick breakfast. And, the waitress she was super nice, but she didn't come around and get our table. So I wanted to pay my own way. And it's one of my weird little idiosyncrasies is like, I don't want to feel like I'm taking advantage of somebody, or I don't want someone to feel like I'm taking advantage of them. So let me pay my own way. Well, I couldn't because we ran out of time, and she's like, we'll just put it on the room and settle up later. And that made me feel uneasy. And I had to confess to her, and I was proud of myself for doing this, to tell her that, about myself, like, listen, I have this thing about, like paying my own way and taking care of myself and not feeling like I'm taking advantage. And this makes me uncomfortable. And she's like, it's okay, I'm easy, and this is something that she said a few times, I'm easy. And I'm like the opposite of that. Everything I've got to like know what's going on. I got to be in control. I got to feel safe. I got to feel secure. I got to feel like I know what's going to happen next.
You have to be in charge of your own way, because when you're not, you're vulnerable to be let down, hurt, led the wrong way, not taken care of.
Yeah, and this is
through life lessons.
This is you know, trauma stuff, life lessons, you know, all the things that have happened to me in my life. That's who I am, and I can't change that. But I was proud of myself because I was able to say it in a really rushed way, and however I explained it, but I was able to get it out. Like, this is a thing with me, right? I need to be able to do this because that it just makes me feel, you know, like I'm pulling my weight, right?
Yeah.
So breakfast, then we leave and we go to the tour. We get to the tour, and the lady, as soon as we walk up, lady looks at me. It's like, "What's your name?" I give her my name. She looks up. She's like, "You're not on the list." So I pull out my phone, forgetting that the ticket that I bought that morning was for the afternoon tour. I pull out my phone, pull up the reservation I made, show it to her, and she's like, and she didn't look at the name of the tour either. She just looked at the time. She's like, "You're on the 2:00 tour." I was like, how did I do that? And like, it had been like 2 hours since I bought that ticket, right? So whatever, space cadet. And I'm just like, oh my God, how did I do that? So now the tour's full, so I can't buy another ticket. And so now she's going to have to go by herself. And I'm just like, oh my God, what the fuck? How did I fucking do that? And she's like, it's all right. Just wait. We'll see if somebody, you know, if somebody doesn't show up or something. And it's 5 minutes of this. And all of a sudden she remembers that she bought the 2 tickets.
And so it's on her phone under her name.
It's on, yeah. So
only under her name.
Only under her name. And so she goes up and she's like, I've got 2 tickets for this tour. So anyway, so we get on the tour. We go to the tour, and then which was fine. It was a bus tour. We drove around to we learned all kinds of things about Savannah, this historic district of Savannah, which was really cool. Actually, there's a lot to see. I don't know if there's a lot going on, but there's a lot, you know, to eat and buy and learn about a lot of history and stuff like that. And anyway, so we, after the tour, we get back to the car and we go over to this other part of town where these 2 shops are, 2 or 3 shops, witchy shops that we want to visit. First one we go to, we park the car in a parking garage and walk over to the store, find the store. It's like, it's almost hidden because it doesn't have we're looking for the street address. Street markings not that great, because this place was like upstairs, and I finally found it because they had like a standing sign, you know, it said Mystic Apothecary, and it was upstairs, but there wasn't, like, I think it was like 31 Broughton Street or something, but couldn't find 30. It was weird. But anyway, we get there, we go in, we shop around. This is where she buys $100 worth of stuff, and I buy, you know, something. I got a little bag. And she's got a bigger bag, but she's also carrying a big purse. And I'm carrying like a small crossbody. So I held on to my bag because it wasn't going to fit in my purse. And I assumed that she put her purchase in her bag because it was big enough to do that. So it never occurred to me to pay attention. And it was hours later when she realized that she didn't have that bag.
Oh my gosh. Just no idea where she would have set it down.
No, we stopped after we left there. We popped into this we were walking back to the parking garage, stopped into this little chocolate place, and she bought a piece of chocolate there. And then we go to the garage and we can't. And so I don't know. She doesn't know. I think she called them and they didn't leave it there. She didn't leave it in the place we bought it. I think she left it on the park bench. We sat down for a while so she could get grounded because we were both feeling out of sorts after walking around and feeling really lost and stuff. And she's like, I need to ground myself. Let's go sit in this little park. I don't know if she left it on the bench. I mean, I don't know. But I felt bad about that. And she never did find it. So, okay. So big fiasco number 2, we go to the parking garage. We can't find the fucking car. Now, I didn't park the car, so I didn't really pay attention. Again, here I am, la, 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 la.
You're Jamie Lollygagger.
I'm just la, 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 la. I'm just along for the ride. I'm not paying attention to anything. I'm not helping in any way either. You know, I'm just letting her like lead the way without doing anything. I feel guilty about that kind of, but at any rate, we're in this fucking parking garage looking for this car for 20 minutes. And I'm not kidding you guys when I tell you that She's beeping to find the car because we're like, I think we're on 2. I think we're on 3. We're walking up and down the rows and stuff. She's beeping. Oh, it's over there. And then somebody would either unlock or lock their car. So then another beep. And they were like, where'd that come from? This went on for 20 fucking minutes before she's like, before she's like, stay here, just stay put. I'll find it. And I'm just like, oh my God. And I'm very aware of how I can get frustrated and and how I might express that. And so I tried to be careful, but it was super frustrating. And
for both of you, I'm sure.
For her too. And I think it was after that we went to the park or something. I don't remember. But because we had to drive to the other shore, it was far enough away that we weren't going to walk to it. We finally find the car after 20 minutes. That was.
Was it on 2 or 3? Like, where was it? Because I don't
have any idea.
She just
came and got me. Yeah. Shit. I don't even know where it was.
Oh my gosh.
I have no idea, but she did find it. And, oh my goodness. And so we go to the other place. I buy something there. And then, and now we've spent all this time. And I think this is where we walk to a park. There was a park right across the street from that. The store was called Conjure. It was pretty cool. And there's a park, in Savannah in this historic district. There's these what do they call them? There's these, they got a name for them. There's parks every couple of blocks. There's this big square that's at 4 blocks or something that they've carved out and left in the middle of the city. It's really nice. And we sat there, and then we go to find our tour. Now this is the 2:00 tour. So I pull up what I got from TripAdvisor, which was where she purchased the ticket too. I pull up my receipt from TripAdvisor, and there's no address or anything. There's nothing. There's just here's your receipt. And I'm like, well, where's the address? So she's got the address on her. So she's looking at her stuff. It's 330 Bonaventure, right? So I look up, we're both trying to use our maps to figure out where the fuck we're at and where we're going. 330 Bonaventure. And, I look it up and I'm like, well, that's 5 miles out of town. That's a cemetery. The tour is the Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil tour, which was a book that was published in the 80s that put Savannah on the map. And they now have, because of that book and all the people that it brought to the town after that book was published, they now have 3 million people a year that visit Savannah.
Wow.
Because of that. Because the book spent 86 or 85 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list. It was a story about the crazy characters in the town, the murder of a young gay man by a real estate guy that nobody liked in that town. There were 4 trials, and he was finally acquitted at the last trial, which they got to change a venue. So that's what the tour was about that. And then of course some more history about it. So we're trying to find where this tour is, and we're walking around, and I'm on my map, and I'm just I don't even know what to do. And she's trying to find it. We're walking in circles. She's like, well, what street is this? Looking at, we're on a corner. There's no street signs there. It's just Jesus fucking Christ, what the fuck? Fucking Mercury retrograde, you guys. We were so turned around. But let me tell you, when we went and we parked the car in that same parking garage again after we came back from Conjure, because we had to come back to the same general area. When we parked the car that time, I took 12 pictures of where that car was.
I imagine you did. Lessons are learned in those times.
Yeah. And when we got out of the parking garage, I was like, I got to go to the bathroom. And so there was a hotel right there. So I ran into this hotel, and then there was a concierge or something like that. And I saw a map, and I was like, yes, I want a street map. I want to be able to look at a map and be like, what fucking street am I on? So I grab a paper map. I know that's so old school, but the GPS just wasn't giving us good directions. It was you were just so turned around. It's a really small, dense area with lots of side streets. And I mean, even though it's on a grid, there's lots of side streets, and there's just a lot. And then these parks break everything up. So it's crazy. So we finally make it to the tour. And by this time, as I told you, now it's 2:00 and my clothes are really, really, really tight, and I'm just like, oh my God. And now we got to walk for 2 hours. Thankfully, mercifully, the guy that was doing the tour, we probably stopped about every 30 minutes for a little break. Like, it took us into some place where people could sit down, get a drink, use the bathroom, whatever. So, and he was very cognizant about us being in the shade because it was getting hot. That was the other thing. I was also hot. If I was in the sun, I was hot because I was overdressed for the afternoon. So we get done with the tour, and guess what? We're a mile away from the car, and now we got to walk all the way back.
And me with circle. It was
not a circle, which I would have thought it would be a circle. Like, what?
Usually they bring you back around to the same spot.
We kept going further and further, and I'm like, at some point we're going to turn. I would feel like, and I don't have a compass, and I don't know where the hell I'm at.
Oh no!
By the time we get done, he's like, yeah, it's just about a mile. I'm just like,
go back the way you came. Oh my gosh!
Oh my God! Are you kidding me? So we walk back, and she's like, you can get a cab, and I'll or an Uber or whatever, and I'll walk back by myself. I was like, I'm not going to do that to you, It's like, so I sucked it up, of course, because I'm not just going to leave her to walk back by herself.
But also, if you paid for an Uber, she could have got in one. I mean, it wouldn't have been like you had to leave her behind.
Well, that's true. She didn't have to.
There's not like a one-person Uber, I don't think. I mean, you guys get like a single-person rickshaw.
It's almost like we didn't have a brain between us.
It does sound like two alphas sort of went on a trip together, and one alpha was sort of trying to let the other one lead, and then it was like this alpha had to start taking care of itself. Like, I can sort of see the personality thing coming out and both of you are super nice, and you don't want to like upset another person, so you're trying to like do your own thing respectfully, but also you're like, I fucking need something else right now. This is not working for me. I just like picturing it. Yeah, it feels like definitely like a Seinfeld episode or something. That's what it feels like.
Well, I can laugh about it now, but in the moment I was just like, oh my God, I'm going to die before I like get out of these shoes and be able to, like get into some comfortable shoes. I wasn't mad. And I'm not mad at her. She's a lovely person. We're just a lot different. And me needing to be in control and then wanting to let her do, anyway, you're right. You describe it perfectly.
Yeah.
Like
it's like two alphas trying to be together. But also I know who you're talking about. And my perspective on her is that she does everything. She takes care of everything in her everyday life, right? Like, so
she does.
And you also do that in your everyday life. So like when you have things going on, A through Z, like your plan is together and succinct, and when you're done, you're just done. And like, I think unless people are really close with you, they don't understand that you have a switch, and when that is flipped, you are done, and that's it, and it's over. and the manners or the you're no longer
niceties.
You're not courteous. You're curt. You're just like, listen. And I know you probably didn't do that with her at all.
I didn't. I really.
And I'm
I was very hyper aware of how Jamie describes me. When I'm done, I'm done.
Yeah.
But also like none of this was her fault. It was just like, and again, if we realized that it was Mercury retrograde, we could have laughed it off. And then we could have double checked everything at that point. Yeah. As soon as we would have like made that connection. And that's the thing where, did I tell you about her? I already said when she called me up and text me and said, who's driving?
Yes.
Did I tell you that?
Yeah.
Okay. So I felt like that was the universe telling me that I needed to be like more on my shit, like a little more in control.
Get into the loop.
Yeah. Get into it. Like that was the universe's first, like, hey, Kat, you're going to be needing to pay attention here. You're going to need to help out. Right. And I remember I was like, I was really surprised by that because it was just like the day before that she called me, and I was like, okay. And anyway.
So let me ask you, when you go on a trip or when you're preparing for something, are you the person who has like all your receipts ready to go? You kind of have it planned out? Do you put things in your calendar? Like, how do you stay organized where?
Yeah, I know. I have my itinerary. Yeah. I have an itinerary. I know what's going to happen and what time we're supposed to be places.
Yeah.
But I let her do it because she booked everything. And she did share them with me. I had emails with the stuff in it, but I mean, it wasn't like, I know one I tried to add to my calendar, it didn't add it. So I don't know if we're using different calendars. She's on something on her. She's on some other calendar system that's not Google, that doesn't go straight to my Google Calendar. And so I mean, she's used the Android, huh?
Yeah, she's an Android user, so it doesn't. I mean, not that we use Apple and Google for our calendars, because we have a shared calendar between us, and I know, like, I can put our stuff on there, and it'll show it in an inbox, like, to accept it or not. It'll wait for you. But on our shared one, it just goes straight in. So I loved it the other day. This is so off topic, but the other day, I got an alert that I was supposed to be somewhere doing something. I was like, oh my gosh, that's my mom's appointment, and I'm getting it. And I was like, I just know that my phone's reminded me of an appointment that it's actually for you, but it went on our shared calendar instead of separate. And I was just like, I know what you're doing. I'm all in your business. So I could see where you really gave up control, and it didn't work well for you.
No, it didn't work well for me. Okay. So we get back to the car, we get back to the hotel, we take a break. Both of us are exhausted from the whole ordeal. We take a break. We have a dinner reservation.
This is like what, 4 PM by this point?
Yeah, it's like 4 in the afternoon.
3 or 4, yeah.
So, and our dinner reservation at the Old Pink House, which is like this, historic place that you have to get reservations a week ahead of time to even get in there, which she had made. So we had, and it was late, 7:30. We go to dinner, and the rest of the evening was fine, of course, because now we're going back to that same garage again, actually. Or maybe we parked in. Oh no, we didn't. We took an Uber because she's like, I don't want to drive, so we took an Uber to dinner. And the only thing that I have to say about Savannah's not really. I should have known this, but I'm always testing the water. So we're standing outside waiting to get in, and there's 3 girls there, and they're celebrating one of their birthdays. And one of them says we're just talking a little bit, chatting a little bit, and then somebody says something. I was like, only with my witchy friends, and their eyes do this, their eyes they're like, what did she just say, witchy?
Yeah.
So, you can't say witch in Savannah because
in the South,
in
that part of the South, because I feel like you can say witch in Florida and nobody's really going to bat an eye unless
Florida's
they're
not
older.
Florida's not like the South, though.
I know.
I feel like it's totally different.
It is 100% the South, but it doesn't feel like the South that we all think of in our head. Like Georgia, South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina is way better. I think. I don't feel like North Carolina is the South, but
it is.
Georgia,
it's south of the Mason-Dixon line.
I know it is, but when you go there,
it doesn't feel. It doesn't
feel as Southern minded or people being restricted on things they talk about or say, like South Carolina and Georgia. Because I spent way more time in those 2 states than I did in North Carolina. But I never called myself a witch in South Carolina, not once. And they,
it was like girls probably my daughter's ages, they were probably millennials and they look like, who knows? They could have been witches, but it didn't connect. And I was like, oh, okay. So anyway,
I love that you tested the waters. That's very brave.
Yeah. Good job. Had dinner, go back to hotel. Then the next day we had a tour in the morning. And
so before we start on your day, let me ask you, now it's been at least 24 hours where you're on this trip. You guys have had a lot of stuff going on. You're starting your second day. What is your mindset?
Now I'm navigating. Now I'm the navigator.
So now you're like, I will control today.
I'll navigate. Okay. Yeah. At this point,
so I'm like, no. To change
yes, things have changed because when we got ready to go to, I didn't even wait. I didn't even ask. I just was like, the tour, it's 330 Bonaventure, the address that she pulled up and said where the walking tour was. That's where we were going the next day.
Yeah.
And so I pulled up the directions on Waze. Waze is really good. Took us right out there. And then when we were going to go to, I found us a place to eat. I found us a store to go to. So on day 2, I'm navigating, and that felt, a lot better to me. And we didn't get lost, which was a positive.
I think you guys were probably both way more aware of things after such a hard first day. But how did you gauge any of her reactions on like what it was like for you to sort of take over?
Saying? No, I didn't. She said probably 3 or 4 times to me. She's like, "Oh, I'm easy. No, it's fine. I'm easy. Yeah. I'm easy." Which
in all of my interactions with her, which have been many, in conversations, and yeah, she never seems like the type that would be offended or get like feelings hurt or be I don't know another word, and I haven't used this word since I haven't even heard this word since I was little. I was thinking the word prissy, like when you're prissy, like you need to be tended to, or you need like. Do people use that?
Yeah, she's not. Yeah, she's not. Yeah, you're talking about like a diva type, like a diva type.
Yeah, like can't give up control, or when somebody says they're easy, it's like very easygoing, very happy-go-lucky. And she seems like that type. Yeah. So she gave up control pretty easily. And
well, it wasn't. I didn't ask. I just said. I didn't ask. I just was like, I pulled it out.
Could you gauge what she was thinking or feeling during that time?
She was just kind of like, I think I even said, I've got the directions.
Yeah,
I'll get us. I've got the directions pulled up. Don't bother. And I think she still put it into her GPS on her car. But the day before, when we were driving, at least she was looking at both the car and then had her phone up. This was on the way up there.
Oh gosh,
so two things, right? And so anyway, we did the tour. 2-hour walking tour again. Like I said, note to self. At least I had on tennis shoes, but I thought I'll never do this again. And you know what? We saw people out there in like golf carts on tours, and I was like, we should have done that.
Like everybody on the tour had their own golf cart?
No, it was a golf cart that was, took people around.
Yes.
Took people around rather to the cemetery. So it's this big old famous cemetery, Bonaventure Cemetery. There's all these traditions. It was interesting, and I love cemeteries, and I got some cool pictures. But 2 hours of that shit, I've walked away from tours before.
We have walked away from tours.
We walked away from tours before. We went to New Orleans. And it was like, I think it might have been a historic or a ghost or something like that. And we're just like, I don't even know.
First off, the man trying to lead this fucking tour, we knew right away. We were like, that's our tour guide. I was like, no, his roommate got drunk and he's like, go finish this tour for me. Like, there's no way this guy was an actual tour guide. We were dying laughing. And it's a little mean. I warn you, there's cattiness between us when we're all together, but especially to make fun of a man is not beneath us at all. We do that.
Yeah.
He had a belt on that was hanging on by literal threads. Okay. Holding himself up. I don't know what was wrong with his fucking shoes, but I'm pretty sure they didn't match. And there was something weird where he tied his laces underneath of it and then around. And it was like, they look like penny loafers or, there's a brand name, Sperry's, like boat shoes. That's what I was trying to think of.
Boat shoes.
They look like boat shoes, but he had taken shoestrings from tennis shoes and tied them around the toes of the boat shoes because I think the soles were falling off. And so when we saw his entire fucking get up, and then he's carrying like a messenger bag, and he seems so nervous, and he's trying to talk, and his, again, I am making fun of him. I'm not even trying to deny that. His fucking stuttering and unclearness and his spastic head turning and we're gonna and then excuse me. I'm trying to impersonate him. We lasted about 5 fucking minutes on that tour. I think the first corner we turned, we were like, no, we're not. Fuck our $12 or whatever we paid.
Yeah. Yeah, and if I had been with my daughters, we would have walked away. We probably wouldn't even have shown up, even though we paid $35 for it. We'd been like, no, fuck that shit.
There's something else that you get, right? Rather than sticking with like, I'm gonna get my $35. Be like, I want fucking peace more. I will forego the $35.
I just don't care. I mean, I was just like, I like the cemetery, but I don't care that much at this point. I've had it with walking around.
Yeah, you're just kind of done.
I'm done, right? And we both felt that way.
Yeah.
She was too. She's like, yeah, never again. Both of us were like, never again.
That's just, you did 3 one day and 1 the next day?
No, 2 the first day and 1 the next day.
Oh, I thought you had 3 that day. Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah, so 3 tours total.
3 tours total.
In a 24-hour period.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It was too much.
It's too much. Yeah.
It was too much. So this is now Saturday. So now after we get done with the tour, and the tour's at 10 o'clock in the morning. So now we go back to our hotel, and then we're just kind of chilling. And I'm good to just do that. Because at this point I'm thinking, we could have gone home today. Really, we didn't have to stay the night. but I didn't think about that, didn't know, hadn't looked at the itinerary, hadn't planned. When she said it, let's do Thursday through Sunday. Does that work for you? Yeah, sure. But a 10 o'clock in the morning tour, 2 o'clock would have been too hot to walk around in a cemetery in Savannah, even in March.
Because there are not trees.
Because there's some trees, but everything's not tree lined. There's plenty of open area, and just like no. So, but after the tour, we did, and again, me navigating got us to a witch shop that she had found. She had the name of it. I looked it up. I got us there. After once we got done with there, we were going to go to lunch. I looked up some places around. I found a place, and then we go and it's supposed to be on this corner. And again, some of their streets down there, you guys, did no street signs. I don't know where the fuck you're at, but you're supposed to be here. You're supposed to be 41 Devon Street or something like that. I was like, where the fuck is that? It's not there. We did this loop, and I was like, nope, fuck that. We're going to find another place. So I found another. I was like, we're done. Second time around, nope, we'll find somewhere else.
Right.
Found a different place, got there. It was cute. It was like a old cafeteria from like the 50s. It was in a VFW lounge. The girl that served us, oh my God, she was so adorable. Joan's like, you should ask her if she could take your picture. And I was like, no, that's weird. I'm not gonna ask somebody if I can take their picture. That's just weird.
Well, a picture of you guys together, maybe.
Yeah, I don't. But she was dressed just the way she was dressed. I really liked her style. She had like little dots. She was a whole entire vibe. And I told her she was really fun. And then we leave there, go back to our hotel, and so now we're just like, okay. We're done, right? So we had bought things at the second store. I bought tarot cards and books, and I think she bought tarot cards, and she bought books too. She got a little 15-minute reading there. So now it's like 5 o'clock, and we didn't have dinner plans that night. That was a free night for us. So we just went back to the hotel. So we shared a room, of course. And, but there wasn't a lot of conversation. And so all this, like after all that, and then the wind down, and then leave the next day, there wasn't much conversation at all. And it felt the silence felt odd, a little awkward
loud.
And stuff. The silence felt loud. Yeah,
Sounds
that's a way to describe it.
Yeah.
And then the trip home was kind of like the same way, where it was just like we were tired, and although on the way home, I did learn something about her. So one of the things you guys know about me is that I need connections that are deep, and I need to know all your shit, and then I'll share all my shit with you, right? And because it's just in my soul. Like I want to know what's going on, like deep inside of you. Like what do we have the same scars? Are we, can we relate? Or if we don't have the same scars, can we at least like relate to do we have shared experiences? But the trip home was pretty quiet, and although she did share with me. She did let me in a little bit and told me about the situation with her. She has a son that's an adult that is, can't get out on his own. And it really made me feel for her. I had a lot of empathy for her when I learned a lot of the details of that story. I was like, oh man, that's really hard. I just felt for her, because it's like, damn, at our age, to have an adult child that you're having to take care of that's not disabled physically, but has decided that they're disabled mentally or something. Anyway, I don't know, but I felt for her.
I wonder if that's how I'll be with Cameron. I've been wondering, like, because I never thought about myself, like you get to 60 years old and then you're still... like your kid is still that. Well, and I love him. And if we're close and he stays close, like I'm mostly okay with that. But there's the part of it of being responsible where do you ever really get to just become your own person? Because, that's how I'm actually going through that right now, where I feel like I can't ever not be involved with his life and like asking him about his medications and like, how are you doing? And like really checking up on him, because he fucking needs that, right? Like, he just needs that. Yeah. And I don't know if that will ever end for me. And I haven't really thought about what that looks like long term, but when you mention it like that, like get to 65 and you're at this retirement place, or you should be, on your own. More
you should
so.
be able to, I mean, I know she'd love to travel and do things, and she's, her husband.
Is it a place where she feels very responsible for him?
Yeah, I mean, her and her husband both do. They feel like, that they've got to take care of him because he can't take care of himself, or he can't function out in the world. He's tried, and and of course, and her view on it is, if I could fix it, I would. But
that's
she's
really fucking hard for a parent.
So very, very hard.
Yeah.
But so anyway, so the trip ends, I come home, and then and then I'm reflecting, right, and I'm reflecting on why the silence felt so loud. One of the things, like, where was except for that short time on the trip home when I learned something like really deep about her and her life. The only other thing on our way up there, we had talked about, I'd shared some things. I had shared with her a recent podcast that we did, which was the one about the abandonment story, my parental abandonment story. If you guys have heard that, and, at one point, at one point I said, I told her that, in my 20s, I'd been an addict, and she's like, oh, and it was the tone of the O. It's just like, that was something that was very foreign to her. And she was probably like, kind of like, oh shit. Which, if you haven't been around it, all you know is what you hear in the media, and people who have addiction problems are problems. So I get it. But the other thing about that particular conversation on the way up was that when I was telling her about my mother, she starts trying to coach me about like healing it. And I'm like, I'm past that point, I'm done in this lifetime. That relationship is what it is. She's going to be gone soon. I have zero interest in doing that. And she does life coaching, and she has done this for a long time, and she wants to be helpful, but I had to shut down because she wasn't taking no for an answer. And so that kind of felt like her pushing, to, I don't need anybody trying to push me into healing the relationship that I have with my mother. I've accepted it for what it is. It's been that way for a long, long time. And my mother has no interest in it. So for somebody to hear it for the first time and then want to like try to give me advice, and, you can heal through the Akashic records, and you could do this generational healing. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm not
in this lifetime.
Not in this lifetime. I'm not doing it. I'm not interested. So I just I had to just stop talking. So.
And that was on the way up?
That was on the way up. Yeah, that was on the way up, because we were having, on the way up, we talked more than I actually thought we would. I took some crocheting because I thought we'd be listening to music, but we talked quite a bit on the way up, but not anything super deep, just about general stuff, except for, me sharing with her about that podcast and stuff like that.
Do you guys have the same music interests? Do you know?
Not really. I mean, I can tolerate, she's listened to a lot of, rock, 70s stuff that I heard so many times. It's not really enjoyable for me anymore, but that's okay.
Is it like our pool music? Like what Tony and I listen to?
Yeah, it's just like, music? It was either 70s rock and roll or country music, but the music was never on that much. Yeah. And on the way home, I had one AirPod in, and I was listening to my audiobook, half listening to my audiobook, and then
that's what I do on long drives.
So anyway, so I get home, and I'm like, by the time I get home and I unpack, and I'm just like, I'm feeling away, I'm feeling like this trip wasn't fun, and why did everything feel so off for me? Because by the time I got home and I started decompressing, I was like, why does everything feel so off for me? And that's really what this podcast is about. So you heard the whole story. So now I want to share with you what I have learned about myself after reflecting, because I'm newer to witchcraft. I've only been doing it like since I came to Florida with my daughters.
We're like on year 6 now.
Yeah, I'm on year 6, but and as somebody who spent a lot of my life unhealed and and shut down and walled off and all of these things that are unevolved, and it's something that I really worked to change about myself. And so when I got home, I just started, I'm like, what's going on? So I like dictated the whole story into Chat GPT because I needed to get it out. And then I needed somebody to reflect back to me like, okay, here's what happened. What give me your point of view on it. So
yeah, what can we learn from this situation?
Yeah, what can I learn? It's hard. It was hard for me not to think, what did I do wrong? Right? How is this my fault? Or what's wrong with me, actually?
Yeah, because I remember you saying that, like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah, what's wrong with me?
Why was this difficult for me when this feels like it should have been a normal thing? Like, why am I feeling away?
Yeah. And I also felt like, the connection wasn't really there. Like I would have, at one point also on the way up, I mentioned that when I went to Kansas City recently, my best friend who I've known for 44 years, I realized that my best friend had a new best friend. And she's like, I'll be your best friend. And I was just like, I didn't know what to say to that because it's, it doesn't feel like a best friend, right? And so it was awkward. It was like awkward silence. But anyway, so here's what I got fed back to me, and what I've, I got a lot of stuff fed back to me, but here's what I've parsed from that. How shared experiences shape us as people. So you already know about me: abandon, struggle, abuse, violence, addiction, everything, right? Her stability, success, I'm going to say easy life, although that's not really a good way to describe it. It's just radically different. Her life and my life, radically different.
The struggles were different because I know some of her personal struggles, and she has struggled, but it's not in a way for survival.
Not for survival.
You've been a survivalist your whole life,
right? And
I think you still tend to think that way. It's very hard to part with.
It is very hard.
It's very hard to part with survivalists. Yeah.
And survivors, the one of the things that I can say about all the struggles that I've been through is like it made me very self-sufficient and tenacious and determined,
resilient.
And stuff. Resilient, yes. Mm-hmm. And so, so you have somebody who is highly self-reliant, a highly self-reliant survivor compared to somebody who experienced their life with security and stability. People who grew up with abandonment and chaos, they become very guarded, as you guys know. I've admitted that. I'm trying to break down those walls. And we're always like watching out. We're always like, what's the next thing? Go ahead.
You didn't teach me this, but we would say this. Like, I grew up knowing this. Waiting for the other shoe to drop.
I was just getting ready to say that. Yes, that word was just going to come out of my mouth.
Because it's literally like, it's one of we have several family mottos that we grew up hearing to try to help us make it through and be strong and carry on. And, like, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger is one of our most used family mottos in our family, our very small family. And then this too shall pass. We said that all the time when shit got really hard, like we would end conversations with, and you know what, Jamie, this too shall pass. Like that is how we knew there would be relief. But I know that I have always lived in a manner of like waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah, I'm always, in especially in my relationships, like even my last relationship in the beginning when things were good. And after 6 months, after you've known someone for 6 months, or you say, I love you, I think is like all of a sudden now the rose colored glasses come off and you're like, all right, what's going to happen? What's going to happen and when is it going to happen? Because I know the shoe's going to drop. So you're waiting for the other shoe to drop.
And it's what's really bad about this thinking. I've experienced it in my own life. Something that I'm trying to change is that we don't just do this in relationships or jobs, but we do this with friends, we do this with our situations, with pet, like anything that we start to care about, we automatically turn to this, like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? And we get ourselves ready for it because we do believe that like the worst thing is really possible. We don't ever go into things all like la 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 la, everything's going to be fucking perfect and great. We don't have that illusion at all. Actually, we're like, okay, how am I going to handle when this person does this? Well, how am I going to handle it when, like, we have A through Z going for all of the backup plans when shit hits the fan, because shit has always hit the fan.
Well, you know, I mean, life is up, down, it's ebb and flow, right? And so, you know, you can't go around like when things are high and always good and think it's always going to be that way, because it's always going to, the wheel's always going to turn.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're at the top of the wheel and sometimes you're at the bottom of the wheel.
But what we have to tell ourselves now, so this is me getting through mine, and I know, just hold your place, because I did this with Tony. I can't even tell you how many times I almost literally sabotaged our relationship with nothing was actually wrong. I just was like, it's too good to be true. I don't fucking believe it. And I would get nervous, and, you know, I'd be like, oh, okay, no, there's gotta be. And I had to change the voice in my head that thought that way. And I was like, no, you know what the bad thing is that we're 20 years apart and he's probably going to die before me. Like, that's the shoe dropping. It's not that he's going to cheat on me or leave me, or there's going to be this like devastating fight. He's never going to yell at me or hit me or, you know, like abuse me in any kind of way. But with everybody else, so doing that with him, I've had to do that with other things as well. Like, I have to look at it in my life and go, nope, no, oops, sorry, that was my straw. Tank is sitting out here. He did not like that. There's not this like waiting for a shoe to drop. It's really, how will I handle it when it's a hard day? You know, so like I've slowly changed the thing in my head, because even with people that we're close with, you know, I mean, Jolene and I have gotten in fights, and one time we didn't even talk for 6 months. And there's been times when I'm like, fuck, when are we going to, like, when something else going to happen like that? And we, you know, especially for her and I have made a promise, like, we're never going to let anybody else come in between us. You know, we're never going to let things be said or done and then we don't talk. Like, we just like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Like, for us, we should never do that to each other. So changing that shit.
Well, actually, I just had a conversation with her recently about
without me. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Well, you know, because we, you know, Jolene and I are mirrors.
The Taurus Scorpio.
Taurus Scorpio. We're mirrors, and so, you know, and our relationship has been contentious, and you know, she even said to me, you know, I mean, there's been times in our lives where we hated each other when she was really young, not as an adult, but when she was young and just really, whew. But I told her, you know, the night that we had this conversation and we talked about some hard things, as she was walking out the door, I said, I'm not gonna, if I have to keep my mouth shut, I will, because I want this, you know, I'm not going to let anything happen between us. I just refuse, because I want her in my life, you know? So if I have to be the one to zip it, where in the past, I probably wouldn't, you know, in the past, I probably would have, like, I got to say my piece. I got to, you know, she's going to listen to what I say and shit like that, which is, you know, which is her, right? I look at her and she's like, she's got to say what she's got to say. That's me too.
Yeah.
But somebody in a relationship where you care and you want it to keep going has to be the one. Somebody, when you got two people like that, someone's got to be willing to give. And at this point in my life, I'm willing to give, because I want her. I don't want a falling out with her that damages our relationship so that we don't have one anymore. It's important. It's important to me. So anyway, so here's two people, you know, who's with completely different life experiences and all this stuff. Okay. So that's my first, you know, like how our lives shaped us.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, for me, like, there's been healing, but the scars remain. So all the things that happen, it's easy for things to come back up. It's easy for things to feel familiar. You know, it's easy for me to be like, okay, here it is again. You know, there's that familiar feeling of the floor falling out, you know, or something's going to happen.
It's similar.
The dread, you know, there's some kind of underlying dread that you feel. Mm-hmm. And so for me, you know, yes, I'm healing, but the scars are there. And it's easy. They're not easy, but they come up from time to time. And so I'm working through that.
And I can tell you about that feeling of dread. As a survival person, what happens when we start to feel that moment of dread, something else kicks in our brain that says, now you have to survive. What are you going to do? You have to only look out for you. You have to only worry about yourself. All of a sudden, any care that you might have wanted to give to anybody else, their story, their feelings, their anything, you can't worry about them anymore, because now it's survival for you. That's how deep that shit runs when you've been a survivalist, is like, the moment you start to feel what you perceive, it's a perception thing too.
It is perception.
It's a perception thing. You don't know it for sure, and you're not going to ask it, but it feels familiar of that dread or something is off, and you're like, oh, the tables are turning, it's shifting. You go into a mode, and it's just the wall goes up. The things you're like, you know how to play the game. I mean, that's the only way that I can really describe it.
Well, you go into auto mode, like automatic responses where nothing gets in, nothing goes out. It's just all like, you know what? You just have to survive through this time, right? And so you do what you have to do in your mind, in your body
kind very of cut off.
Body, everything gets cut off. Everything that closes. The door closes. Nothing's coming in. Nothing's going out. I'm walled off at that point.
And like what you're really waiting for, and the reason why Kat took, because you took days to decompress from this. I remember sort of like, and you were saying, you're like, I just need time to sit with this and think about it. I'm like, okay. And I was like, I'm here
because I didn't even, I wasn't even ready to tell Jamie about it or talk about it or anything for a few days. In fact, I don't even think you got the whole story ever. Jolene got the whole story because Jolene and I be in the mirror and she's going to pull it out of me, she wants to hear all the stuff because she wants to analyze it. Yeah. And so I don't think Jamie even heard the whole thing. No. And it was so funny when I told Jolene and I sat here that night that I told you where I said, I'm not going to let anything come between us. I'll be the one to keep my mouth shut. When I first told her about getting lost, she's like, oh my God, my mother. Don't even take my mother somewhere where she doesn't know where she's going and she's wandering around. She will not do well. And I just cracked up because she's so right. I don't do well in those situations.
And it's tough for a new relationship when you get thrown into something like that. Our friend has no idea.
No, like, she didn't do anything. Again, she didn't do anything. She didn't do anything wrong. This is my healing journey. This is my opportunity to look into myself and say, what happened here, and why am I feeling the feelings that I'm feeling?
Why is this stuff coming up?
What's happening? Yeah, what's actually happening? Because I know there's some deep shadow work shit here for me to learn from. That's what I'm trying to do. So, although I have the scars, you know what I'm proud about? I took time to reflect.
You acknowledged everything.
I acknowledged everything, and I took time to reflect, and I thought about how I felt, and I thought about everything. I didn't immediately go run into my daughters and be like, "Oh my God," blah, 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 or whatever, like I might have in a past time where I just like bitched about it or whatever. No, I wanted to understand. I wanted to understand me. I wanted to understand what was happening,
and that's huge because again,
I do feel like it's growth.
Well, reflection doesn't come naturally to people. We have to learn that skill and understand why it's good for us, because most of the time people experience bad shit and they'd rather just tell everybody about all the bad shit and like, look at this fucked up shit that happened to me, but they're not learning anything by telling anybody about it, right?
They're just griping.
Right. When you sit with it and you go, okay, well, why did I feel like this was messed up, or like what really happened? Okay, so where's my responsibility being in the situation?
Exactly.
Also, because you're experiencing it. These are your feelings. Something I don't really say on here ever or in anything, because it's a hard concept in psychology to explain, but nobody can make you feel anything. I don't know if you guys know that. Nobody can actually make you feel anything. It feels like they're making you feel something because they're wronging you. They're doing the things, they're crossing your line. They're, even when it comes down to like the really hard shit, sexual abuse and rape and domestic violence and whatever, it's still completely impossible for them to make you feel a thing. You have the feelings because of the situation, but the feelings are all yours. They can't make you feel a way. These are things that are... You made
me do that. You made me... No, nobody...
You can't make somebody do something. No,
that's the same thing. Where
it's hard to describe it, but that's why with all of your emotions that you're feeling, and that's why this other person is not at fault at all, because these are all of yours and you're owning that. And I think that's probably the biggest part of the story too, is that we're talking about a situation where it was just you and this other person, and it can seem like things happen that were annoying with them, but that's what you're reflecting on. It's like, well, why was this? How did I let this happen too?
Where was my responsibility in it? Because I could have, like I said, the universe sent me a sign.
I mean, I'm shocked. I could not have done what you did. I could have just been like, nope, I'll just go along with it and let her lead the way. I fucking couldn't have. And that's my shit. I already know. And everybody knows that about me, where,
Well, she seemed to have it all together, and it was all like, so I wasn't concerned until I was.
I don't know, but I'd be like, books, all right, let's put out our planners together. All right, let's make sure we got the same shit going on. I have to like ask questions. I don't know. I got to dig in.
Yeah. Well, another thing, I was probably just like, la, 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 la.
Well, what I love about my mom so much is that when she doesn't want to be bothered with something, she just doesn't get bothered then. She's like, headphones are in. I'm going to look out the window. I got shit in my own head I'm dealing with. You wanted to do this. All right, do it. I'll be along for the ride. That's fine. I've taken drives with her before, and she's so disengaged. I'm like, well, I thought we'd talk more on this drive, but go ahead. No, listen to your audiobook. It's totally fine. Or sometimes we're driving together in her car because I'm driving, and her audiobook is playing on her car. So I get to listen to it too. I don't know what the fuck is going on in the story, but she's like, this is my audiobook. I was like, okay, cool. I'll just ask you questions and I don't understand the story. So when you know somebody that well, I think that's more when you can, I don't know, have your own things. I was with Taryn the other day, and you know what? We had to drive like an hour and 20 minutes up to an airport, and she brought her book with her, and I was like, oh, this is cool. All right, so I've never been in a car where somebody's going to possibly read their book. It is at night. It's getting dark. And I was like, well, I got an audiobook I could listen to. I was like, oh, do you want to read your book and I'll listen to my audiobook? I was like, sweet. I was like, I can't believe I'm
Didn't we take a road trip where we both each listened to our individual audiobooks?
Yes, because we're both in our, we're like, I got to know what's happening with this story. This is like free time to do that. Yes. So I think that those conversations ahead of time, those are things I have to do for my own well-being now. Like, that's what I know about myself, where I'm like, okay, so what are we listening to on the way up? Or, hey, I made a playlist, or hey, I have an audiobook I'm listening to. Like, what do you like to do when you drive? That's probably my problem is I have to talk everything out. I have to now. Yeah. Because I think I used to not say anything and just let shit evolve. And that's when I would become uncomfortable.
It's something that I definitely learned from this. Like, I won't make the mistakes that I made, the things that I could have done that would have improved the situation, that would have improved the experience for both of us. I could have been more, engaged in getting us to where we needed to go instead of putting everything on her, just, because she planned it and she was driving the car,
Yeah.
I think when the three of us get in the car, we're like, who's navigating,
Yeah, we talk everything out. And then even if we put on music, you guys, like if one person goes, I'm over this shit, can we find something else? Everybody's like, yep, let's do it. So whether it's going to be like Taylor Swift or Miranda Lambert or, Stevie Nicks, and we switch between them all, it's sort of like everybody has a voice in the car, and it's always accepted that we speak up and we say like, I don't really want to do this, or, hey, I need to stop here. I think that with the three of us, that took time probably to really understand each other and not feel like, mom has to stop every hour to go pee. No, really, that's me. But, everybody knows.
I won't drink on a road trip because I'll have to stop too often to go to the bathroom.
I think it's horrible for you if you don't drink.
Because I know,
then, you get blood clots
at every rest stop.
Yeah, I'll be doing it. I like to get out of the car, though. I look forward to the rest stops. I'm like, ooh, what are we going to see here? And what's going on?
We would have lunch on the way up, and it just didn't work out that way. Like we just drove. It was just a 6-hour drive. It actually went really fast. Okay, so back to there's healing on my part, but the scars remain, and I'm working on that. Learning in depth about what she's dealing with and has dealt with in her life with her son really made me feel a lot of empathy for her, and I realized that even though her life on the outside, she lives in a nice house, have a long-term marriage, has had a great career, all the stuff, right? She's got all the things that one might say, oh, look at her, she has such a beautiful, perfect life.
She's
right?
so lucky.
She's so lucky, right? Mm-hmm. She has her struggles too, and her stuff is hard, really, really hard too, and the difference between us is that my struggle was surviving, and her struggle may be, if I was to categorize it, chronic caregiving. Because that's what she is. She's a caregiver, and now she's caregiving her husband who's sick and her son who's not, who's kind of, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe him. But yeah, because she was having to, for the whole trip, she was calling, are you taking your medicine? So she's doing the caregiving long distance. And I think she was worried, I know she was worried because she said, I hope they're going to be okay together, like almost not trusting them to take care of each other. So she's got a hard life too. It's not just me. We just have had different types of hard, which has shaped who we are today and how we deal with things. This is a hard one, but I think it's a good one to understand. Like, just because you make witch friends, you have people who are witchy and are your friend, and you know them, and then you get together, and all of a sudden you realize there's a mismatch, right? There's something that's just not, you're not in sync in some kind of way. Not everybody is your person. Compatibility needs like a shared rhythm and the emotional alignment. Everyone's not your frequency. And I respect her a lot. But that may not equate to being a BFF. And I think I don't know that I ever thought that, oh, this might be my new BFF, because I've never really got that vibes. But, I think I was hoping to make like a deeper connection on some other level.
Also, I just don't this is not to sound harsh or be harsh. I don't think of you as a BFF type person. You're so, you like your alone time so much.
Yeah,
I don't see you with like Jolene has BFFs, right? Because she makes lots of plans with them and she goes out with them and does all this stuff. And you just, I don't ever see you in that way as having a BFF.
Well, I always had I've had my friend Lisa that I've known for 44 years now.
What truly made you guys best friends?
Oh, when our kids were two together, those
you
years
had things in common
when we were raising children, and and she babysat for me, and all of our kids were the same.
You leaned on each other.
We leaned on each other. Yeah. I helped her out. We helped each other out a lot of times. I lived with her.
Creates a deep bond. So I've never seen you in your more adult life now. Like Lisa carried on from California.
From my 20-something-year-old.
Yeah. And even then, I don't know your guys' whole relationship with Kansas City, but like the kids being close, and then the kids being, we disliked each other for a while and all of that. But you guys had something that was from the past that you could always come back to.
Yeah, we had a lot of shared memories and experiences, and same trauma. When we divorced our husbands, we went to the divorce clinic where you filed your own paperwork together. Yeah. So so we had all these things. But when I say BFF, I just mean like a girlfriend that I can call up and we can talk about deep hard shit, right? I think those are my daughters now. That's who I have in my life that I do that with. And
my heart is welling right now. It's just getting huge.
Some things that I'm proud of, I probably already said this, but I'm proud of asking myself the hard questions, like, was it me? And if it was me, how can I be better? That self-awareness, it's only come, I think I mentioned this already, but it's really only come as I've evolved through my witchcraft practice. And just, I think one of the biggest things for witchcraft, what witchcraft did for me, was that it forced me to be aware, or it caused me to be aware. It opened me up to being aware.
It invited you in to be aware of yourself.
To be aware of myself and of other people and my surroundings, and not just go through life, with kind of like blinders on and ignoring everybody, because for self-preservation. Okay. What else am I proud of? I stepped outside my comfort zone. I noticed my own reactions, and I asked questions. I questioned my own judgments, am I judging this, and why? And is it fair? Is it even accurate? And you know what? I was able to communicate my boundaries about money, and that was not an easy conversation for me to have. So I'm like, yay, me.
I know, when you,
and I didn't shut down. That's the number one thing. I didn't just cut off like I would have done it. I've just been like,
I can tell when you talk about the money thing, you actually make a different mouth shape when you, it's like her corners of her mouth get very tight when she goes to talk about it too. I can see it.
Really?
Oh yeah. Physically it comes out as like, what I didn't do? I did not. So it's interesting watching your reaction, even when you talk about the hard things that happen, Yeah. It's like a fidget also, kind of like when we're talking, we're just like, well, this, and we did. And yeah.
So here's another thing that I realize is what travel teaches us. When you travel with somebody that you don't know very well, or maybe when you travel with people that you do know, it reveals, your competencies, like who's good at planning, who's good at navigating, who's good at logistics and time awareness and managing details. Like I said, I should have taken over as navigator probably from day one.
Yeah.
Travel accelerates social intimacy and forced proximity bonding. So it's forcing you to bonding. Morning routines. The great thing was, and she said this a couple times, I'm so glad that we like the same temperature in the room. I think she was worried about that. We both liked it really warm. And so that was a really good thing.
I would have died. I would have got my own room. I need my shit at like 68 degrees.
No, we both wanted to like 77 in the,
oh my God, I would have died.
Moods and eating habits, and we seemed like the silence with her seemed okay, even though for me it was like, I was questioning at the time, is this normal, and silence tolerance. That was the thing I was going to say. So lastly, there's a little bit of cosmic humor in this story because, the universe basically said, hey, Kat, let's give you a low stakes relationship experiment. Instead of intense emotional drama, I got lost tickets, wrong directions, missing shopping bags, parking garage confusions, and awkward conversations. It's almost like the universe gave me a personality mirror instead of a dramatic lesson. And I think I did pretty darn good.
What I love about it is that what my mom really has lacked for a long time, and we all know this about her, is patience. Like that's the one thing she always talks about not having.
I don't.
And all of these things required patience and required you to not overreact or negatively react.
That's true.
There had to be a lot of self-control in these situations, which is why I think there was so much reflection.
I didn't think about
the patience,
patience and the self-control, because you're right. If this had been me and my daughters, it would have been a completely different.
This is how she would have reacted the moment one of us lost the car. What the fuck? You didn't take a picture of this? I mean, what? Who didn't take a picture? None of us took a picture. Like, it would have just been a whole thing. But we, all knowing each other, could have laughed about that very easily. Like, fuck, you're right. Why didn't we do that? Oh my God. And that would have been okay because that we already have had the trips together. We know each other. But do you know what else happened on that fucking St. Augustine trip? That was the time when it was like, turn left in 450 feet.
Oh my God.
And we,
oh my God, that was so funny.
Trip, it was the weirdest thing, you guys. When we went to St. Augustine for Kat's birthday, it was probably like 4 or 5 years ago now.
Yeah, it was like 2021. Yeah, 2021.
In November of 2021, we went up to St. Augustine. Jolene and I had this whole thing planned out. I had literally hidden decorations. We had planned on renting a golf cart and decorating it, all this stuff. So much of it did not work out because St. Augustine has a lot of rules about these things, and like nobody tells you that. And so we got there and you couldn't even take the golf cart anywhere because there's no parking for fucking golf carts. It's a whole walking city. I was like,
I rented a whole ass fucking big golf cart for us to drive around, and
we couldn't even drive it around. We had to park it and go walking. I was like, what the fuck? They did us dirty on that. They didn't tell us. But when we were trying to get to our locations, when we were in the normal car, that was what the directions kept telling us was turn left in 450 feet. And we must have done that 6 or 7 times. I'm like, we're going in a circle 4 times in this, and you have to go back to where you are.
We still laugh about it today.
Yeah, because anytime somebody's like, you're going to turn left in 450 feet, and we're like, turn left in 450 feet. Because we heard that so many times on that trip, and you're like, how the hell do we keep turning left in 450 feet? And we're not going in a circle. We're eventually getting somewhere. But it was like, we stopped trusting GPS. We were like, you're fucking broken. That's the only thing you know how to say. Turn left in 450 feet. So.
I still think of it today when I'm sure I got a 450 feet because I navigated us out of there too to get to the highway.
No, when I hear that every single time, I'm like, oh no, you don't. No, I feel like there's like a glitch in the matrix when it happens or something.
All right. Well, that's the end of my lessons in travel. I don't even know what we're going to call this podcast yet, but
a story of patience.
Okay, maybe that's it. Yeah.
I mean, it's like the whole time you were talking, I was really surprised that you hadn't said how much this really drew on your patience or lack of, or understanding yourself in a patient setting, because we've always laughed about how much patience you don't have, right? And so to be with somebody who you don't want to offend them, you're being careful, you're learning them, so you're kind of like, I want to say on your better behavior, but
I don't want to be an asshole.
Aware,
right? I mean, I don't want to be an asshole or a bitch. I don't want to be perceived like
because
that.
We're going to continue to see this person and be friends with them and hang out with them.
I consider her a friend, and she's a valued part of our circle.
She's a valuable part of our circle. Yes,
absolutely.
Highly valued woman.
And I mean, I didn't know. That would have no. Yeah.
So did you?
But I did not. But I actually didn't think about patience. I just know I did try to. I don't know, behave like you would behave if you were not. I can be.
Yes, keep going. Because I see you're struggling to get this out, so I don't know what's coming next, and I'm excited for it.
I can be myself with my family because they know and love me and accept me. But when you're in public or not, more like when you're more out with people, then you do kind of adjust your behavior for your situation, right?
Yeah.
And so I guess that's what I did. I adjusted because if I'd been with my daughters, it would have been a completely different experience. But I'm with somebody that I don't know that well. I've never been on a trip before, and I don't want to leave. I don't want to cause ill will. I don't want to make her feel bad because none of it was her fault. Absolutely none of it. If anything, I would take more responsibility because I should have offered to navigate from the start, said, I'll do that. But again, I think you're right about the two alphas and not wanting to step on, I don't want to step on her toes.
I've seen you do that before, where you're just kind of like, well, I didn't want to take that over because, that's your thing.
I don't want to just like barge in and, bull in a china cabinet, which I've been accused of.
Because that is something you know very well about yourself, is that you can come in and take charge and get shit done, and you can handle it.
And I'm like a bull in a china cabinet when I do it.
That's funny, because that's what we say about Taurus, and that's what my sister is. So there's so many similarities between them. And I don't think that Jolene comes in like a bull in a china cabinet at all. I actually think that she's very persuasive. She has a way with people and like words, and just to kind of admit it.
So I got that part.
You got the bull in the china cabinet, because I don't think she's like that.
She's not like that.
She's like a master
manipulator almost.
Mediator, not manipulator, but a mediator.
Okay. Mediator then.
Manipulator?
Okay. No, I guess it's not manipulative. She can sway
people.
She's persuasive. And she's persuasive.
But she's a good mediator. I feel like she can really like take two sides and be like, okay, listen. Yeah.
Yeah.
But now I feel I'm like, I should have called her and talked to her about this. I was like, so you're going on a trip with my mom. Here's a couple of ground rules you should understand. But I didn't, I was like, no, they'll figure it out. It'll be fine. But I was like, this will be interesting. Yeah. So.
Well, I just want you to know, even when you get to 67 years old, you can still change and reflect and learn things and evolve. And so, if you're new to this journey, if you're new to this journey and you're older like me, we can change old habits that we've had for our whole damn life and learn to be kinder, gentler people in the world and
better adjusted,
better, just like. I think it's the kindness thing and understanding that, being patient with people and just, understanding their points of view and their struggles and things like that. And and that everything's not always going to be perfect, in situations. There's going to be little slip ups. There's going to be, where's the car, annoyances and frustrations and stuff. And how you handle that, how you choose to handle that really tells you, for me anyway, it tells me like where I am in my evolution. Right?
It does, yeah.
It tells me like this is growth for me, and that's what I feel like this experience was growth for me. So
it speaks volumes on character, how you act under stress. That character comes forward with other people. What we get out of stressful situations is all of the mind chatter that we have while the situation's going on. It's all the things we don't say that we're thinking, and we're like, fuck. Like, so that's what you actually come home and work through, is all the mind chatter you were having when the situation goes on and what you do with that. You can take 5 minutes and think about it and then be like, yeah, fuck that. I don't want to work on that. Okay, whatever. Like, that was just a mess up situation, and continue on with your day. Or like Kat did, I feel like you've spent a lot of time reflecting on, wow, so this was really interesting. I felt a lot of things. And like, why did that happen? And where did this go? And what did it come from? And why does this keep coming up for me? And
Yeah.
I mean, there was one point when you had started to sort of tell me about it, you were in tears because I think that it baffled you, or it at least it stirred enough emotion where you're going, I fucking need time to process this. And I was just like, oh my God, what happened? Like, please tell me everything went okay. Because I was worried. But I just think that when you saw yourself in certain situations, and then this time, I think what you could really hear is the voice in your head, like your real own self, like reflecting on it. And that is almost like, wow, that person inside of me that has lasted through all these struggles, and what she says now hits different.
Yeah.
Like, I'm grateful in my relationship where when I have a hard day and I feel like I want to like run away, because I still have those feelings of like, I just want to run away. This is all so heavy. I have a lot of responsibility to everything. And like, I don't want to be the one that fucks it up. And that pressure of having a really good relationship and worrying that I'm going to be the one that fucks it up. I'm like, well, I'll just run away then. I'll just let it happen now. Like, fuck it. Let's just end it now. I don't want to wait for the ending to happen. I'm just going to end it now and we'll get it over with and blah, 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 I talked to him about that now, where I'm like, today I just wanted to run away. And of course he's like, why? What is that? I'm like, I don't know, it's just everything. And then I cry for like 15 minutes and we just sit there and then we start making jokes. And I'm like, all right, I got that. Okay, that passed. I don't know what that was. And I want to blame hormones, but I don't want him to think that women's hormones make us crazy. It doesn't. We just feel a lot of feelings. Okay. That's all. So, well, thank you so much for sharing this very personal, very real, very current situation. Because I don't even know that you guys have talked about it. You and the other person have had any conversations.
No, and that's that's probably maybe. and we may or may not. I don't know. Yeah. And I did, as I was writing about trying to like organize how I would say this, because I didn't want to just go off all kind of crazy ways, even though Jamie's like, that's authentic. Well,
you didn't want to have a tangent. I think the biggest thing is that you didn't want it to feel like a bitch fest.
And I also wanted to be able to succinctly say, this is what I reflected on, this is what I learned, and this is what happened, so that you guys could follow the story easier than if I scattered and then I was scattered. So I have spent a lot of time on it, and wanted where I was at some point today or yesterday when I was, writing things down was, what, and if I'm going to have a conversation, if I'm going to, try to have a conversation with this friend about it or not. And right now I don't know, I'm not sure. I just don't know. I think I'll let that evolve and just see what happens.
Well, because a lot of this is for you. It's not about her anyways.
But I also wonder if she was feeling similar in some kind of ways, like if things felt off for her too.
Yeah.
So, and maybe not. And if not, great. Because again, her life experience is so different than mine. And she's like I said, she said a few times, oh, it's okay. I'm really easygoing, and I'm decidedly not easygoing. I've had to learn. I had to learn not to be easygoing. I had to learn to, fight for fucking everything and struggle for everything. And so I don't know. So that's, maybe that's another podcast if we have that conversation.
Oh, listen, I have been actually thinking about my next one, and it's it would bring together a lot of stuff. Would you like to cry with me?
Now?
No, on the next podcast.
Oh, I'll always cry with you.
But
yeah,
I'm really thinking about addressing sexual abuse like in another way, because I've had a lot of, ever since I started talking, like, I don't know, ever since the thing with talking about Cameron's dad and the forced sexual experience with that, I've been thinking about how much that changes us when you experience sexual abuse, in all of the little ways that, like, because I know and I'm very trained in it, that I can see it in other people, or we have these habits that come up when we're abused. And like, a lot of us are just thinking, well, no, that's a coping mechanism, or it's, oh, well, that's just who I am. But it's not who we are. It's things that we created because of these bad situations. And I don't know. I've been thinking about that more. And that's an intense thing to talk about.
Well, sexual abuse. And of course, I've experienced sexual abuse in my life too. But my way to, when I speak of it, it's I mostly have cut off the emotions. It's like I carterized
Yeah.
it. And I'm like, I don't feel anything about that. It's kind of like how I feel about my parents. I don't feel anything about that because I don't allow myself. I just, at some point in time, you know, I took the carterization tool that the doctors use, and that nerve, that's gone. And so,
although what you guys can't see off screen is that she has her foot up and it is shaking. So there is still things that live in her body with this.
well, that's true. I can't do anything about the body traumas that, you know.
Well, that was something that I was thinking about, sort of talking about, is what we can physically see from ourselves, things that we can understand about ourselves, and maybe I can give some tools for healing about sexual abuse. That's just,
well, here's something that I do. Then maybe these are either
it's all together.
Maybe we talk about them together,
yeah.
But here's the thing that I do experience now, and that is like men really fucking make me nervous anymore. In the environment, the current environment that we're living in. I had 2 guys come in here. I had my carpets cleaned a couple of months ago. And, you know, I live alone. I have a little dog. He's 60 pounds. He's not taking anybody down. And these 2 guys were big and they were a little bit older. And you know what? There was nothing wrong with them. They didn't do anything. They came in. They were professional. It's not them. But it's 2 men who could easily overpower me in my own home. And there would be absolutely nothing that I could do about it. And that kind of like right now, I feel that in the pit of my stomach, you know, and I don't know how to, and for some reason it seems to be, you know, like a more recent thing where I'm feeling this because of the environment that we're in, the hostility that there's so much hostility in the world. Well, Jamie's not on social media. I'm always reading it. So I know how there's a lot of groups, there's certain groups of men who are really fucking women haters, you know?
I've seen it actually.
And and then I'm listening to this book and it's like from, you know, the period of time is like the 1350s and in Europe. And it's very, you know, women are just like, men just rape women left and right. No, just, you know, and women they're completely helpless. They can't even, it's not even worth fighting. And if they fight, they get beat up or die or something. So,
well, anyway, that was part of rape training actually, is that you don't fight. And that always pissed me off because
I didn't fight when I got raped. I just, what was I going to do? There was nothing to do. There was no, it would have been, if I had fought, it would have been people holding me down. You know, that's when I was 13.
Yeah.
4 guys. And if I had fought, it would have been men holding me down. And I just,
you feel like it would have been more traumatic.
It absolutely would have been more traumatic and more dangerous too at that point for me, a lot more dangerous than just laying there and letting them do whatever they want and getting it over with.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, anyway, that's probably our next podcast.
Yep. Because I really want to give more information on that, statistics. You know, I think when I got into the Navy and understanding everything that happened to me before my actual situation in the Navy, I tried to become a rape counselor. And so much of what they were teaching us, I was like, what in the fuck? Like, I just did not agree with the things. And I haven't been in that world since then. So that's 20 years ago now. But just, you know, my son is around a lot of young men and like he tells me stories about people and just, I'm glad that I raised him. And I think that women who are able to raise sons to be this super compassionate, like look out for young girls, see situations before they happen. Like he's the cognizant one when it comes to that's not going to end well. You know, and he's more of this, he's
very aware. And I think that comes from being raised by a woman.
Yes.
You know, he's hyper aware of it.
Aware of those situations.
Absolutely. And reads
wants
them
to defend it.
And
ready to make a move. Yeah.
Ready to defend.
So it's been conversations with him recently. Like there's just been some things that come up. And yes, I did find myself on the wrong side of Instagram where all of a sudden it was all these man-hating thing. Oh, not man-hating. I'm sorry. I was looking at man-hating stuff because I like the women who do the man-hating stuff. And it led me they were like reviewing these videos of guys talking about how women hate men and that we're all awful because and blah, 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 whatever. Lots of controversy over us not wanting to be with men. And like, I've actually tried to talk to my husband about this even. And he's so uncomfortable. He's like, I hope you're not becoming a man hater. I was like, I was a man hater before we met. So that, like, the only reason I'm with you is because you are a 100% different kind of person than a man. Like, I was like, I can't say you're not a man because you are a man. You're a very good man. You're the kind of man that I wish I could literally make thousands of copies of and every woman get their own, because you're what we hope for, like you're the unrealistic guy out there that everybody's searching for.
Right.
So it's things like that where men are really disconnected from it. They really are. They don't understand. They're not asking the questions. And I know that women out there, you guys listening, we have men in our lives and we want to have these conversations with them, but it does make them uncomfortable. And I've got my husband who is 65 now, and I've got my son who's 20, and then I've got my experience with sexual abuse and my mom's, and I have all these places to pull from that I really want to put together a podcast about that, encompassing multiple views, how people are handling it, what we talk about, ways to address it, and then for our own selves as these things come up and why we feel uncomfortable and what we can do about it. Because as I've gone on my journey with changing what I, like dressing for myself now, and not giving a fuck what other people say, think, or do, like, okay, I'm battling that.
The guy in Kansas City. My experience with the guy in Kansas City.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So this is all building up over lots of podcasts that we've already done this year, even though it's only March. And we've divulged so much information about our experiences. I think that the next one that I want to do that's just very relevant to the time right now and the things that I've experienced in my life through my son, through my husband, with you and I talking about our abusive experiences, including sexual experiences. I think that that's going to be the next podcast. So, all right.
So I guess
might be tears.
I guess we'll
tears.
See you on 78 episode.
Podcast 78. Yes. Oh my gosh.
Episode 78.
It sure will.
We love you.
We love you so much, you guys.
Yeah. See you next time.
We'll see you. Bye.
Bye.